Yes. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Hello, everyone. Welcome to SOOC Live. And it's definitely live because we're late. Sorry, we're late twice today. So, yeah, that's life in Africa, I guess. Thank you so much for being patient with us, for sticking with us. It's absolutely wonderful to have you back here. And yeah, it's awesome for me to be back here again. Also, it's been quite some time. It feels a long time that we had this show last. It's been a couple of more weeks than normal. And so I'm very glad to be back. And thank you for everyone to tune in. We have load shedding. For everyone who's tuning in from anywhere else in the world and doesn't know about load shedding, lucky you. Here, sometimes they just switch the power off because we use too much and there isn't enough for all of us to go around. So we need to take turns. And this is what happened to us. And it was announced at very short notice. So apologies for the delay. But having said all of this, we have power, we have sound, we are here, and we are ready to talk about all things straight out of camera. And I'm not alone here. I've got my awesome co-host waiting in the wings. But just quickly for everyone who's tuning in for the first time, my name is Nathalie. I'm talking to you from Johannesburg, sunny South Africa. And yeah, I have made it my mission to make using a Fujifilm camera as fun and easy as possible. And I do this with a couple of workshops that are called Tame Your Fujifilm. And at the same time, focus on trying to get images straight out of camera. And this is where Fuji X Weekly comes in, because we all know that he's the wizard of all things straight out of camera, JPEGs, of film recipes and simulations. And he is here with us today. And I want to give a big shout out to Ritchie, a round of applause, and say a warm welcome to the awesome Ritchie Roesch from Fuji X Weekly. And we are here to chat to you about one of our new film simulations and all sorts of other things straight out of camera. Hello, Ritchie. Hello there. How are you doing? I can't hear Ritchie at the moment. I'm not sure. He's muted somewhere. Sorry about that. Yeah. I'm sure we'll sort that out quickly. I think we can hear you now, Ritchie.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yay! Hello, everyone. Hello, Nathalie.
It's so good to see you and hear you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right. It's cold here in Salt Lake City.
Yes.
Not freezing cold, but cold nonetheless, and it's warm where you are because it's summer.
Yes.
When we started this series, it was the opposite. You know, it was warm here and cold there, so it's fun to see that transition.
Yes. Can you believe it? That means we have done almost half a year of shows already. We are on
this is episode 5.
Oh. Yes, fabulous.
Amazing.
And I am rearing to go. I think we have quite a number of people watching, so that's absolutely fabulous. Please, at any point, if you have questions, if you have comments, please send them our way. Because we are here for you. We're doing this for you so that you can interact and get the most out of the show. We call it Straight Out of Camera, and we are in season 1. And we want to just quickly give you a run through as to why we are here and what this is all about, and what we do on this show.
Yeah, so we have one recipe a month that we showcase. We share our pictures with you, and then we ask you to use this recipe throughout the month, and then share your pictures with us. Shoot it, upload. We have a QR code that you can screenshot. It'll come up in a little bit. And we do this the second Thursday of every month. Now, this is the third Thursday because we had some scheduling issues, but it'll go back in December. It'll go back to the second Thursday of every month, and should be that from there on out.
Exactly. So we then showcase your images that you share with us and upload. And we have this as a celebration of, a month worth of a special film simulation. And we, talk about the images. We invite you to comment on the images and ask questions about it, or share your experience that you've had with the particular recipe. And to crown it off, we then have a lucky draw and give away a year's worth of subscription to the fabulous Fuji X Weekly app. So if you want to participate in future, you best take a screenshot right now of the screen where you have the link and the QR code where you can upload your images. We collect them throughout the month, and then we put them together in a super awesome slideshow that we go through a little bit later on in the show.
Yeah, that's a fun part of this whole show, is seeing your guys' images.
Yes, that's really what it is all about. That's why we're here. And so we invite you at any point to share those. And if you have any questions, please, please, please send them our way. Don't be shy. We're happy to ask any questions, however big or small, and we will try to answer them as best as we can. If I don't know the answer, I will ask Ritchie to answer for me.
And we're here to help you guys. So we want you guys to have the best experience with your Fujifilm camera. So we want to do whatever we can to make that experience better for you. So if you have a question, whatever it is, shoot it, and we will try and answer that.
Exactly. Fabulous. Oh, Philip is here. Hello. Good afternoon, Philip. How are you doing? Thank you so much for tuning in today. And
while it's cold in Salt Lake City, it's probably still very warm in Phoenix, I'm guessing.
Okay. Oh, that's lucky for him.
Yeah.
And then we also have another returning viewer. Hello there from Amsterdam. Thank you for tuning in again. It's good to have you with us. Who else is there?
Enrico from Italy.
Oh. Yes.
Thanks for tuning in.
He also submitted an image, so we're looking forward to showcasing that. And while I am thinking about it, and while I have someone there who submitted an image,
that's my dad. Hello, Dad.
Hello, Dad. Thanks for tuning in. If we're looking at your image and you are watching, please, you're more than welcome to give us a comment when you see the image and give a little bit of a backstory to how you created that image. And we're giving a shout out to Kendra, who's here also again. It's so good that you are back and you have submitted another image last month's show. It was a little bit late to get you in, and it's super awesome that we managed, that you managed to upload in time for this month. So thank you for that.
Hi, Carl from Germany.
Yes. Hello, Carl from Germany. Wie geht's? And Mario's also tuning in from Germany. Thank you for being with us.
Even though it's cold and dark.
Yes, cold and dark. Not so in Qatar, where Kel is tuning in from. We are all over the globe again today.
Yeah,
That
it's
is
always amazing to me.
phenomenal.
Like, just this is world, using Fujifilm cameras and shooting straight out of camera JPEGs and all that stuff is worldwide. It's international.
Yes.
It's
It's
maybe the one thing that brings us all together.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely fabulous, and I feel so privileged to be sitting here, to be talking to you, Richie, and to be talking to everybody else out there all over the world. And yeah, and we talk about the one thing that we're also very passionate about. So
You know?
fabulous.
Yeah, and it's great. This
Richie,
whole community aspect that's being created around all this is just absolutely incredible.
yeah, super fabulous. And if you have any questions, ask them in the comments. We will answer them at some point, definitely. And we want to get started with um, a first question that we have prepared for you. And we want to have a look at like the difference between noise and grain effect in an image and what an image looks like. So Richie has kindly um, set up two images of basically the same scene. The one is exactly the same image, I think, just processed differently, and the other one is, an image with high and low ISO. So we want to just have a look how that looks and why there is such a thing like noise reduction, etc., etc.
So I guess it would be important to talk about like what is noise, and basically in the film days you had grain, you had actual grain, and we'll talk about grain in a moment. And the grain would be bigger in the higher ISO films because it would need to be more sensitive to light. In your digital camera, you're basically the processor is pushing the data, which is causing artifacts that are called noise. And typically, noise is not something you want in your pictures. That's always been the rule of thumb. And the higher ISO you get, the more noise you get. But Fujifilm has programmed their cameras a little bit differently, and noise doesn't look so awful like it does in a lot of brands. They tend to desaturize it, and it has more of a film grain look to it. It doesn't seem so digital and maybe a little bit more analog.
Yeah, so
But with that said, oh, go ahead.
I just wanted to explain to the viewers that the image that they're looking at now is a zoomed in version of the full picture so that you can quite clearly see on the left image with noise, especially in the sky. You can see the noise grains and not in the image.
And that's a good point. When you're looking at it on like Instagram, Facebook, that kind of stuff, viewing it small, the difference is negligible. You can't hardly tell the difference between an image with noise and without. But when you zoom in, view it larger, print it larger, it'll become a lot more obvious. Like you can see here in this crop, the image on the left is ISO 6400. The image on the right is ISO 640. So it's a pretty big difference. And the one at ISO 640 hardly has any noise in it at all. And this is with noise reduction set to -4 on both images. The one on the left with the noise, what was that?
I would like to know from the viewers if they can see it as clearly. I mean, we can see it clearly. We know what we're looking for, and we're probably looking at possibly a bigger screen. And just if the audience just can tell us that they can see a difference, and if they can comment on it and give us thumbs up, that would be super awesome.
Yeah, and if this was the film era, the image on the right would more resemble like a slide with a low ISO, like 50 or 64, as far as how the noise looks. The image on the left would be more like maybe closer to ISO 400 film. How the grain would look. The noise kind of resembles that a little bit.
Yeah. So let's have a look at what an image looks like with a lot of grain. Because I find it interesting that looking at them, it looks kind of like similar-ish.
Yeah, so the one on the right has no grain, and both of these are ISO 64 or 640. I'm sorry, ISO 640. So there isn't very much noise being added to it. It's a very clean image to start with. So the one on the right has 0 grain. The one on the left is strong and large. And again, this is zoomed in. That's a little bit more subtle than looking at the noise.
Mhm. But it's still so
But you can see it.
grain is something that we add to the recipe because we
Yeah,
want it to
and
look more like film.
yeah, in the film days, it was actual silver grain that you saw. In the digital era, we don't have that. We have noise, which is kind of sort of an equivalent. But Fujifilm has given us the tool to apply a fake film grain to the image that's supposed to resemble actual film grain.
Yeah, exactly. So we want to take the one out and put the other one in order to get our digital images to look
And
more like film. And
you
Lenny's
can
confirming, thank you,
actually,
Lenny, that you can that it's very clear to see. So I'm happy.
yeah, and you can actually use both effects to your advantage. For example, the Kodak Tri-X 400 recipe requires you to use a higher ISO to get that noise and apply a strong film grain to it. So you're using both together to try and mimic the graininess of film.
Yes. So here's a bit of an exercise that you can try at home. You can, take those film simulations that have very high grain and some that have very low grain, and just, compare them and see what you like better. Oh,
Yeah, and I think
Robbie's back.
Robbie's comment here is very much, you see it mostly in the sky or in an area where it's kind of the same tone, even tone
Yeah,
across is where you'll mostly see both noise and grain.
correct. Yes. Yeah. So it's great that you can all see that, and it's great that you also letting us know. So it's working for us and for you. Okay, and someone is watching on the iPad where they cannot see the difference.
Yeah,
Um,
and that's the thing is if the smaller you're viewing it, the less of a difference it'll
mm,
make. And so the using a higher ISO is definitely no issue at all if you're never going to view the picture bigger than, let's say, on social media or something like that. But if you
yeah,
wanted to print it on, make a mural on your wall, then you'd probably want to stick with like a low ISO to just to make it as clean as possible.
yeah. Yes, so it's definitely worth an exercise. So everyone who's not like Kathy, for example, she kind of sees a difference. She's watching on a laptop. Everybody else is probably watching on a computer screen and is looking at a bigger image. So why don't you try that at home and see for yourself? It's quite obvious when you, especially turning the grain on and off. You can even in camera you can convert. You go back to last month's show where we showed you how to convert a JPEG in camera, and there you can use the same image and you convert it once with no grain and then with strong grain, and then you will see the difference. Okay. All right. We've got some big news, Richie.
Yeah.
Um, first of all, we have really cool big news for everyone who wants to get super creative, because I have this funny feeling that Richie's on, I don't know, maybe a sabbatical or something, or quit his day job or something to that effect, because he's been pumping out content like yeah, that's absolutely awesome. It's been keeping me busy and probably you guys as well, and reading all the different posts. And part of what has launched on his blog is a creative collective corner. Absolutely super stuff. And yeah, Richie, do you want to maybe give us a bit more of an overview as to what exactly that is?
Yeah, so I'm going to be putting more content on the blog. I've already started, and so everybody who's going to the blog will see the same amount of content. But if you want to dive a little deeper, go down some rabbit holes, and get really creative, I've started a new thing called the Creative Collective, and it's a group of articles that'll come out regularly where we will try new things. I don't even know what they're all going to be, but we're going to just try and get really creative, uh, and just see what happens, see where it leads, see what we come up with. And so far, there's 4 articles in there. There is a subscription fee. It's $2 a month if you want to join in. If you don't want to join in, you're still going to get the same content that you've always gotten. But if you want extra bonus content, then it's $2 a month to join the Creative Collective, and we'll just see where it goes, and we'll just try and get really creative with what we do on there.
Yes, so it's definitely worthwhile. So far, I think you sneaked in the 4th article. For me, it was late last night, I think.
It was.
So
Yeah.
I've read the first 3. It's very, very valuable information. So I do encourage you to pick that up. And
And the whole point of this is to go down these rabbit holes, to do these experiments, and just become better photographers, more creative photographers while we're doing it.
Yes. So that is very cool, very exciting stuff. So I'm looking forward to lots more to come. And no doubt there will be plenty of it. And also more news, super exciting news about the infamous app that is getting an update.
Yes. So I've been working, me and the app developer, Sahand, have been working on this for a while. At different times we've been working a little harder on it than others, but we've been working really hard on it for the last month. And we're putting out a big update that's going to include some great new features. One of them is you've always been able to, if you're a patron subscriber, you've always been able to favorite recipes and always came up with the yellow star. But now there's going to be 5 color stars to choose from, which is going to be a great organizational tool. You can use them however you see fit. But if you want to use one color to designate what's in your camera, another color to designate what you plan to use in the future, another color to designate recipes you've used in the past that you really liked, or if you want to use a color to mark which ones are good for portraits, which ones are good for street photography, which ones are good for landscape. You could do that. However you want to organize it, you'll now be able to do that with these stars.
Yeah,
And
that's super cool. And I think even the filtering is even more interesting.
Yes. So this one is probably going to be the big one for a lot of people. And for cameras that are older than the X Pro 3, the X Pro 3 and newer, within the custom settings, within the custom presets, you can program the white balance shift. But in older cameras in the X Pro 3, you cannot. And that means every time you switch to a different custom preset in your C1 through C7 menu, you have to remember to change the white balance shift. But if each one of your C1 through C7 presets has a different white balance shift, if it has a different white balance type, the camera will remember one shift per white balance type. So you can now use, when this update comes out, you'll be able to use the filter by white balance to then pick 7 different recipes that have a different white balance type. So you don't have to always be changing the white balance shift.
So this is pretty higher grade, and you explained it in the sneak peek in your blog. Yep. So the way I understand it is, if you change a recipe that has the same white balance as the other one, but a different white balance shift, then you need to adjust it. But if you have a different recipe that has a different white balance, then you don't need to adjust it.
Yes. So this will make it a lot easier for people, I think, with their Fujifilm camera, using their Fujifilm camera.
Fabulous. Awesome stuff. We're all about easy, and even more so, you can now also add your own recipes, because you give users the option to add blank recipe cards and fill in their own settings.
Yeah. So if you've created your own recipe, maybe you've gone to the community recipes page and found a recipe on there you really like, and you want to add it to your app, you'll be able to do that once this update comes out, which hopefully will be in the next couple of weeks. It should be before December. Some of that depends on how quickly Google and Apple approve the updates, because it has to go through them and they have to approve it. There's a whole process to it. But hopefully before December, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, this update will be out and you'll be able to add your own recipes to it. And in the future, we're already talking about the next app update that will come out next year, hopefully in the first part of the year. There'll be the option to even export these blank recipe cards, and you could even share them. But that's not going to be in this update.
Okay. But we are looking forward to your Christmas present to us.
Yeah.
So let's hope it'll be that. And up until then, we will keep ourselves busy with practicing, with getting, the hang of your app, which is
Oh, yeah.
really cool. And we have more news, and that is all about the Instax wide printer that was released, that we briefly talked about in last month's show. And I have been lucky enough to get my hands on one of them, and
Yay.
I have been using it, and it's absolutely fabulous. I have been printing my heart out. I must say, I really, really do love it. I'm totally biased, I know, but I was hoping it would be good, and it is. It, it produces these beautiful, large white prints, and I absolutely love the color in those prints. It really, really is good quality. There is heaps of different things you can create with the app as well. So it's definitely worthwhile if you're looking to, get yourself a printer. I'm totally convinced
And
that this is.
I wanted to add to this that those pictures that you saw in there, you used the Agfa Optima 200 recipe on your Fujifilm X camera and then printed them on your Instax White printer.
I did. It's like Fuji all around.
Yep.
Yes, but there's even more news, and that is a new camera that was launched yesterday. And it is very interesting. I don't have it, and it's probably still going to be a little while until I get my hands on one. Internationally, you may get lucky to still get it this year, but I won't. It's a hybrid, though. Richie and I were just speaking briefly before the show. There are a few other ones in the range of Instax cameras that are hybrids, and this one is definitely the flagship camera that they put on top. It's super stylish and polished, and it comes with tons and tons and tons of features. And it will probably be very interesting for photographers because they have lens effects and film effects in this camera that you can so you can make combinations and make different styles of your photographs. And there is a question: can you use the printer straight out of camera? So it is a digital camera, but it makes little digital files, and then you can choose which ones you want to print. It's not comparable with X series cameras because the images that you get out of those cameras are much smaller. They're intended to print, and this new camera is a mini, so it prints that are half the size of this one, and the resolution is supposed to be really good. They've upped the quality on this one, and also colors and everything. So it promises to be a really good camera, but unfortunately I haven't used it yet, so there's not too much that I can add to this. But keep an eye out on this. It's going to be very interesting. And
yeah, so the next segment here, we're just calling it special occasions. We're just looking at different recipes and when those recipes might be useful, or different situations where you might find yourself in and wanting a good recipe for it.
Yes, we
So
started
today
with
we're
the series last month, and this is the second one. That last month we talked about or looked at landscapes, and this month we are looking at cityscapes. So anything, anything street photography, I guess. And Richie, do you
yeah.
want to give us a
So
little bit of a
yeah,
uh,
if there's nothing more iconic than Kodachrome 64 for street photography. So if you find yourself downtown with your camera and you're wanting to do some street photography and it's daylight, the Kodachrome 64 recipe is my recommendation for that situation. So I think it produces lovely colors, and you'll get some of those iconic looks from some of the great street photographers in the past. You'll be able to kind of produce a similar aesthetic to that using this recipe. So for street photography and it's daylight, you're downtown, program that Kodachrome 64 recipe in and have fun.
Yes, well, I'm definitely looking forward to this. I think I'm definitely a Kodachrome kind of girl, so I can't wait to give this one a try. And yeah, not
And
sure
there
if
it is in
there's
the
anything
app. Yep.
else on the app. It looks like this. If there's anything else that you want to add that people can look out for, definitely
Uh,
star it.
Yeah, if you go to the website, within the app at the bottom, there's a link to the website, and you can go see the article, and it talks a little bit more about Kodachrome film, about using this recipe, some different suggestions and that kind of thing, and you see a lot more sample images of what you're going to look like, and you can see in even that picture that you just passed. Even if the sun has gone down and it's blue hour, you could still get some really good results using this recipe.
Yeah. Yeah, I love all the
So
sample images so that you can really get an idea and all the background information on it. So again, super cool. Um, yeah, super cool the
yeah,
combination between the app and the website.
yeah,
Uh,
I appreciate that. And so the next one is if you're out at night. This recipe was modeled after a certain photographer's aesthetics. Jeff Davenport has done some wonderful night images, and I made this recipe to mimic his look. So if you find yourself in at night in downtown in a city environment and are looking to do some night photography, this recipe produces some really wonderful results. And I also want to point out that on the community recipes page, someone has shared their alternate version of this, which doesn't look like Jeff Davenport's pictures, but it looks really cool. So that if you're looking for a little bit alternate version, be sure to go to the community's recipe page and find that and try both. See what you like.
cool. Excellent. So much to try. And
Hmm.
this is not everything. We've got a third one, which is more for daytime
Yeah.
downtown.
So we looked at street photography. This one I wouldn't necessarily use for actual street photography, but just doing more like cityscapes. And I love this recipe is one that I really personally like a lot. I feel like it's kind of underutilized, underappreciated. It produces some really great results. I've used it in downtown. I've used it at like walking around a university. But it just produces really lovely pictures. And Fuji Color 100 Industrial is kind of one of those films that is the actual film itself can be hard to find because I believe it was only made available in Japan, but some people have sold it on the internet, internationally. But it's mostly only found in Japan. But it what's unique about it is that it's actually a tungsten balanced film where they then shifted the colors to make it daylight balance. So it's kind of And that's what I've modeled it after with the white balance. If you notice, the white balance uses a very cool white balance, but then in the shifts it way towards warm and balances it out. So it's pretty interesting.
Okay, very cool. I love to get all that insight behind all those film simulations, and just to pick up a little bit on history.
Yeah, so if you're downtown photographing, make sure that you program in Kodachrome 64, the Jeff Davenport Night, and the Fuji Color 100 industrial recipes into your camera.
Yes, and best take a screenshot right now so that you have a visual memory of it, and get shooting. Fantastic.
Your questions. Let's take questions.
If we have any questions from the viewers, please shoot them our way. We are more than happy to, answer anything that's coming up while we're looking at those recipes. Anyone shooting cityscapes? There, Robert's asking, did you play yet with more recipes?
Always.
Well, I think I can answer that for Ritchie. He would have played with lots of recipes. And then we have, I think it's Carlo asking, my question was about the Instax wide.
Oh, yeah. His question was, do you print straight out of camera on the Instax wide?
I understand. I'm sorry about that. Yes, absolutely. You these pictures that I also shared on my Instagram earlier today. These are straight out of camera. So it's perfect. So you just shoot. I absolutely love this process. You just shoot the image, you send it straight to your phone and onto the printer. So yeah, doesn't get any easier than that.
And I think if you have that XS10, you can actually just go straight from the camera to the printer.
Yeah, at the moment, the XS10 is the only one that connects straight with this printer. I'm hoping that this will change and that more will, more cameras will become compatible with this and other printers as well. So we'll see what next year brings. And Kathy says she loves Jeff Davenport night recipe.
Oh, great.
She uses it exclusively at night. Fabulous.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
So,
yeah, it's such a great recipe for night photography.
Yes. While we're on this, if you have some images that belong into this category of special occasions, if you want to share some with us, then you're more than welcome to upload those as well. Just make sure that you title your image with that recipe so that we know what recipe was used, so that it isn't part of the monthly recipe that we are getting submissions for. But please do share other ones. So the phone, someone's really interested in the printer. At this point, depending on what cameras you shoot with, yes, you will have to get the images onto your phone and then onto the printer. Like we just said, if you shoot with an XS10, you can print directly to it. But unfortunately, this is the only camera that is compatible with for now.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll update it at some point.
Yeah, but we have had our recipe for the month that we have been shooting with, and we actually got it. I think we got an extra week in this time around. We've been shooting lots with Agfa Optima 200, and and we want to have a little bit of a look as to where this recipe actually came from, where the film came from. And even though we don't really have anyone talking about the film itself, but Mark Schriffel has made a video about the camera that was released with this film. So we'll have a quick look at what he had to say about it, and we'll be right back after this.
What I have here is an Agfa Optima 200 sensor. It's a camera produced by the German company Agfa. Agfa was a company that was, I think, started in about 1864 or something. It's got quite a heritage. It first produced chemicals for photography, film, and photographic development and so forth. And obviously that brought them into producing some very nice and very fine cameras, this being one of them. So this camera is about 50 years of age. If you look at it, it looks like something that came out of, off the shelf yesterday almost. It's been replicated and copied, or the style has been replicated and copied at least by a lot of camera manufacturers today. I sort of liken these to a lot of the Fujifilm cameras that are being produced at the moment. And why not? It's a really nice design. You've got the metal on the top, metal on the bottom. You've got this sort of faux leather sort of coating around the outside of it. The thing about this camera is it's just beautifully engineered. It's lovely to hold. I was able to purchase this from an opportunity shop locally for about $35, and I'm pretty sure I got a bargain. I'm going to put film through this camera. I've got some fantastic photographs that I'll share with you. I really enjoy this camera, and I'll maybe do a little bit more on some of the photographs and so forth a little bit later on. Thank you.
And thank you to Mark for this lovely video.
I encourage everyone to go find that video and watch the whole thing. That's just a little snippet of it.
Yes, it is. And I think it's so cute that he compares the camera in style and design to, the current Fujifilm cameras, which is part of why it was quite catching my attention. And
yeah, so I think that's great that it kind of all comes full circle. Where we're looking at an Agfa camera that the design of it may have inspired some of the Fujifilm cameras, and we're using the Fujifilm cameras to put in a recipe that's modeled after film that was named after the camera.
yeah, that's really quite awesome. And apparently this camera and the film were launched at the same time.
So Agfa launched the camera and Agfa Optima 200 at the same time. They then discontinued the film, replaced it with a different one, and then brought back an emulsion with the same name. I'm not sure if the aesthetic is the same between the original Agfa Optima 200 and the Agfa Optima 200 that they released in the 1990s. But this recipe is modeled after the Agfa Optima 200 emulsion from the 1990s.
Okay. All right. Let's have a quick look at them. We have a few samples of images that Ritchie and I shot. And here's
I think
picture.
For like still life photography, this recipe just does so wonderful. If you're taking indoor pictures of your kitchen or some decorations or something like that, this is a really good recipe for that purpose.
Yes. And I took this to heart when I took the next picture and did exactly the opposite. So yeah, I really enjoyed this a lot. Sometimes I felt it could do with a little bit more contrast, but other times most times actually, I really enjoyed my images exactly the way they came straight out of camera. And this is, just
and the silvery rock there, it just looks so wonderful.
Yeah. So yeah, it served me nicely.
And I used it for some autumn colors. This was just an oak tree that their leaves don't really turn like red, vibrant colors necessarily. So a lot of times they just go from green to kind of a yellow brownish color, golden color, and I thought this recipe did pretty well for capturing that.
Yeah, definitely did. Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot also for being outdoors, and those colors together are just so awesome. What do you think, everybody watching here, about those images or about your experiences with the film simulation while we are looking
And
at? Carry on.
yeah, I was going to say this. This is an example of what I was talking about. Like, it's really good for like this kind of scenario. Here's your lunch. And on the
It
table.
was so good.
I
It
bet it
was
looks
so
good.
good. Yeah. Yeah. No, it was. I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
And then
And
another
your golden
autumn.
color leaves.
Yeah. So these leaves were actually a lot more red. This recipe kind of tones down the red just a little bit. But I think it made it not be too overwhelming with
Yeah,
with
I
brilliant
do
color.
like
Yeah.
how it renders this, definitely. And viewers, what do you think? You've gone all quiet on us while we are looking here at the images. And this is my last submission. And that is one of those iconic jacarandas that are just, all over the place at the moment. October is the month for going purple in South Africa, mostly in Johannesburg and Pretoria. And this is one of them. And clearly, Agfa Optima 200 shows purple nicely.
Very nicely. Yeah. And I believe you printed this on the Instax Wide.
I did.
Yeah.
I did, definitely.
So we got
Uh,
a question here. Which lenses did you use? It's a good question. I think for all of mine, I believe they were the 35 millimeter f2. I'm not 100% certain on that. It's possible I may have used the 90 millimeter f2 for the egg, the bowl with the eggs in it. But I believe I used the 35 millimeter f2 for all of them.
Yeah. Mine is very simple. I keep on getting stuck on my 23 f2 at the moment, especially when I'm, moving around quite a bit, or like I was lucky enough to be traveling a little bit in these last couple of days. And then the 23 is just, it's perfect for me.
No, Fujifilm. That is Fujinon lenses.
Yes. Yes. Fujifilm all the way, Robert. All the way. And then Stephen is asking, I found this recipe looks more differentiated from others when shooting with ISO 1600. Of course, all mine were shot at 160 by mistake.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Yeah, I think you often recommend a recipe for ISO ranges or exposure
Mhm.
ranges, because depending on what you shoot it at, the quality of the simulation changes quite a bit.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. So as shooting it at ISO 1600, you introduce a little bit more of that noise that we were talking about. That kind of has a film grain like look to it a little bit. So it kind of, you can get more of an analog aesthetic by bumping up the ISO just a little bit.
Yes. And Riku is all about the golden lights that the golden eye that the nice rich light that we all like so much, which this recipe I think also does really nicely.
Yeah, I think
Um,
yellows and purples and blues and stuff can all come out really nice.
Desmond's asking Kathy where he can find this night recipe.
Oh, I think the Jeff Davenport night. It's
Yes.
on the app and it's on the website.
Yeah, just we're going back here. You can take a screenshot just for your reference there. And yeah, just search for Jeff Davenport. I'm sure you will find it there. All right.
And this brings up something. If you go to the website and you know the name of something, you know the name of a recipe, you can't find it. on the website. If you click there's two menus, one on the upper left, one on the upper right. If you click on the upper right one, there is a search bar that comes up, and you can put in there, search Jeff Davenport Knight. I believe there's also a search bar at the very bottom of the website. So you can, if you know the name, but you can't figure out where it is, you can just search for it and it'll come up.
Yeah, that's very handy. Fabulous. Oh, there's my sister. My sister's late. Don't worry about it. We were also late. We were late twice tonight. So, we're setting a trend. Must be running in the family. Thank you for tuning in. It's super awesome to have you here. But I think it's time, our favorite time of the evening, where we're going to have a look at all people's submissions.
Yay! This is really my favorite part of the show.
Yes. And remember, if you're watching and your image comes up, please, you're more than welcome to comment, give us a little bit of a backstory so that we get the full picture together with your picture. And I know that Kathy's watching because she has commented already. So, Kathy, you're more than welcome to drop us a comment onto, this really cool picture. I love the mood. I think it's probably shot like down onto a fence or a ladder or something. And I think it's really nice, interesting.
What captures me about it, what gets my attention, is that it looks like an analog shot. It looks like you're looking at maybe like a 4x6 inch print that you got at the 1 hour photo lab, back in the day, and not just like a straight out of camera digital image that you kind of have preconceived notions that a straight out of camera digital image might look like.
Yeah, it's definitely got a lot of atmosphere in this. Yeah,
Mhm.
very well done, Kathy.
And Rico submitted this one, which is really interesting to me because it almost is black and white. I mean, there's very little color actually in it, and you just get this silhouette. There's a story. Ansel Adams said that there's nothing worse than a sharp image of a fuzzy concept. What we have here is a really good concept, and that translates into an interesting picture.
Yes, I need to give it to Enrico. Big thumbs up from me. All the other viewers, you're more than welcome to share your love and what you think of all the images. So, we can get a conversation going and, support each other in our creative process. And there is Eric's submission. It's really interesting. I like the humor in the image, apart from the beautiful colors, that there's this metal structure, what looks like in the middle of nowhere. I really do like that a lot.
Yeah, it's just a beacon for all dogs in the region, to come find.
Yes. Yeah. And is Carl Rife watching tonight by any chance? Because we were looking at this image and we would love to hear the story. If you're watching, please send us in the comments what is happening here, because there's clearly some tradition, something that's being captured, and that's quite fascinating to me.
And aside from just the fact that it's interesting that there's something going on that we don't really know, but it's a night picture, and it shows that how this recipe handles being in the dark, and there's some off camera. I'm not sure if it's a flash or if there's a light from a building or something to the right side of the picture, but it just shows how it handles that, and you can use this recipe at night and get results like this.
Yes, definitely. And speaking of night, we had this submission here from Cal. I absolutely love the tone and feel to it. And again, in the night, showing how absolutely beautiful Agfa Optima looks at night.
Yeah, those yellows from the artificial light look just amazing.
Mm.
Almost a greenish tint to it.
Yeah, I absolutely love this image. Well done.
And Kendra submitted this one. It's reflection. I personally really like reflected images. They're just kind of like a little bit of a mystery to them. And it's a window with blinds in it. You can see that, but then behind it is looks like a basketball court, some trees, and it's just a little bit of a mystery there of what exactly it is.
Yeah, nice one. Thank you for your submission, Kendra. And also to Kevin, who sent this image. I really like the nice long stretched views of all the different colored trees and this rock formation.
Yeah, and
And
it's very subtle things sometimes that make an image. So like you see on the right and a little bit on the left too, there's just a little bit of branches that are out of focus because they're closer to the camera, and they kind of give that extra depth. And so like little things like that, even though it's very subtle, can really add a lot to a picture.
yes, your foreground in this image, very well executed there. And I've just had someone whisper to me that to them it looks like a camel sitting down this rock there in the foreground. So if this is what you were trying to capture, so then that's even more well done.
Mm-hmm. And then Mario captured this country scene, and I'm not sure where this is, but it looks beautiful. I mean, I can imagine that somebody's got a view like this out there, maybe out their kitchen window or something, and it just seems like it goes on forever, and you got these little layers of fog here and there that add depth to it.
Yeah, I love the mood of this photograph. It's really, really nice. Another photograph, very well done. Thank you, Mario. I think he's also watching. If you have anything you would like to add, please shout, and let's show some love to Mario and to Nathan, who sent us this image, which is a bit more of an industrial type look, I guess, and shows us many different shades of red, which is also very interesting.
And then Nathan sent us this picture of this autumn scene, obviously up on a hill, on a mountain looking down, and you get just this great depth. And I love the foreground out of focus branches that are framing this. And then there's 3 tall trunks kind of on the left side that fill in that space. I always like using the number 3 in pictures in any way that I can. Having those 3 trunks there that stand tall and fill that space. And then that barely noticeable distant mountain scene on the right kind of makes that space the negative space. So it's pretty interesting. And it kind of flows from the top left to the bottom right,
Yes.
in that way.
Yeah. Awesome submission. Thank you very much. And the next image has, again, this awesome sense of humor in it. Peter submitted this image, and Peter is clearly, he is from Germany, or he was in Germany, and he photographed this. And this word Farben means colors. So I really enjoy that a lot. Very well done. And
yeah, it's got great colors in it.
yes, thank you for putting smiles on our faces with your submission.
And then Philip sent us this another night scene, and it's very cinematic looking. Like this could be from a movie of some sort, like a still shot from a movie. It just looks really good and really intriguing. That makes me want to see the rest of the film, whatever it is.
Yes, yes, very. I can hear the music coming from the
Yeah,
merry-go-round. Yes, definitely. Nice. And then we have some late Halloween inspired harvest or something of that sort. Sorry, we don't really celebrate it here, so I'm not sure if it's related or not. But I absolutely love all the different colors of pumpkins and shapes that are in this picture together. And then also, obviously, mixing green and yellow is really, really interesting. So I love this. And clearly, Agfa Optima can show green and yellow really well as well.
yeah. And it's a very sharp, clean picture too, and I like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And Ricardas, we didn't get a lot of submissions where it shows people and skin tone, so we definitely wanted to show this one so we get an idea of what skin tones are like, and is a little bit of a mystery with this image with the out of focus part on the bottom left and then the person placed in the upper right to give it balance. So definitely appreciate the submission.
Yes, very nice. And it shows that really you can use this recipe, as your go-to for any situation. And even when you go to the hairdresser, um, Stevens submitted this image, and I've been trying to figure out what it says on the head. I assume is the hairdresser's hands. I am banking on fearless, fear being on the other hand, but I obviously don't know. So,
Probably.
Stephen, if you are watching and if you know, then please do get me, take me out of my misery and let me know what it says.
And would you pronounce this Thomas or Tumas?
I think it's probably pronounced Thomas, even though it's spelled
Thomas.
differently.
Thomas
Um,
sent us this foggy. I just love pictures of forests with fog. There's a magical quality to that, and you can see this recipe did pretty well to capture the essence of the scene there.
mm. Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. Thank you. It was a submission that came through today, so I'm glad we managed to still get it in. And that maybe is a good plug-in to just ask everyone. We'd love to have all your submissions and show them. And if you can try to send your submissions before, the day before the next show, so we can make sure to have all your images in the show. That'll make our lives a little bit easier. But nonetheless, Thomas, thank you very much for submitting this awesome image. And also to Varim, who sent us this picture, which is a moody autumn scene by the lake. I think I can feel like the wet, cold air and temperature
Yeah.
in this picture. So yeah,
You can
it's
kind of
nice.
hear the waves lap up against the shore a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that's lovely. Very nice. Thank you.
And then Walker sent us this mountain picture, and I want to know what mountain this is. So Walker, if you're watching, let us know what mountain you captured here. Where is this? Where I am, if I go a little drive down the road, 45 minutes an hour, I can find scenes kind of like this. The mountains aren't quite as majestic as this, but getting up high, I imagine that road there that you can see in the picture is the road you took to get to this scenic view where you can overlook the mountains that go on forever. And yeah, it's just very lovely picture.
Yeah, it's a really epic view. So
Hmm.
we would love to know where was taken. And then we have, I think, one more image in the series, and that is the submission from Warren F. And he sent us a lovely beach scene with a fisherman who's been very industrious in his vehicle, I guess, to transport all his fishing gear, and makes for a very interesting capture. And I love the sky and the general mood of the image. So thank you also to you, Warren. And
It definitely makes me want to go to the beach and use this recipe to capture some pictures. I can tell you
yes.
that.
Well, I've been lucky enough to kind of like try it out, and it definitely was a good recipe to have in my camera for that. So yeah, thank you very much to each and every one of you who submitted your images.
Yes,
It
thank you
is a
so much.
feast to us every month. And yes, if you have any questions, if if you have anything that you can add or that you would like to comment on the images, then please do so, because it's a celebration of you, and we want to make sure that you have and you get a voice here, and you can, you know, that we can have a conversation with you about all those different images. Maybe there was something that you noticed while you were using this recipe. Carlo is saying, yes, these things happen to hang from the tree. As she looked like stealing the pot. So I just took a picture with
Yeah,
friend.
I hope that pot doesn't have a big hole in the bottom like that other one that's hanging in the tree.
Yeah, the rude awakening. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, well, this that makes the photograph even more precious. We were
Yeah.
wondering, we were looking at it, and we were just playing around with what could have possibly happened, and obviously didn't guess that, but that is a really nice story behind it. Kathy is saying nice alignment of the reflections. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, if you
Yep.
notice that the lines from the blinds line up with the pole that the basketball hoop is on.
Yes. Oh, in her backyard. Nice backyard.
Yes. Yeah, it looks
Awesome.
like if you have some kids or something that's
Yes.
you have your own park in your backyard. So that's really neat.
Yeah. Lovely. Oh, very nice. Ah, you see, this is what we were talking about. And Philip was in Disney World, taken last year. Fabulous.
Oh wow.
It just makes the experience for everyone so much rounder if we have a little bit of background information. The way we receive your submissions doesn't leave for a lot of extra information. So we take the time in the show for you guys to let us know, and also all the other viewers know where you were, how you were taking this photograph. And with this particular image, um, this could have been at a fun fair or whatever, but it was actually at Disney World. So thank you
And what
for
a great
letting us know.
vacation picture. Like
Yeah.
when you bring your camera on your family vacation and you're somewhere, you just hope to get pictures like this. But Philip actually succeeded.
Yes. Okay.
Oh, could be. Yeah, his
Interesting.
thumb's got a B on it. It could be.
Yes, interesting. So, my mind went into the wrong direction. Maybe it says bless. Maybe it does. Let's hope it
Yeah.
does say bless. I like that. Thank you, Kathy.
Oh,
Awesome. Thank you, guys. This was absolutely fabulous. I love this. It's so much fun. And even so much more fun with you guys around and you guys chipping in. So, keep it up. We absolutely love it. But I think we are done with Agfa Optima. It's kind of sad to move on, but also exciting
hmm.
because we don't do anything in small measures. Can I say we go from one extreme to the other because we have chosen cross process as the next recipe, and we are going to have a bit of a look at what that actually
And
means
what I
before we
find
dive into it.
interesting is that the Agfa Optima 200 recipe uses Provia, and this recipe uses Provia too. And Provia, generally speaking, is one of my least favorite film simulations that Fujifilm has created. But these two recipes are really good with those with that film simulation.
Yes,
But they look
exactly.
completely different. They look
Yeah.
completely 100% different.
Yes, they couldn't be further from each other. But before we dive into the actual recipe, we wanted to have a bit of a look, in case you're not familiar with what cross processing actually is, what it means, where it comes from. We are going to have a look at some of Ritchie's photographs that he took on film, actually.
Yeah. So
So,
cross processing is simply it's a film technique where you develop a film and a chemistry that was not intended for that film. Most commonly, it's slide film that uses the E6 process and developing it in C41, which is negative film chemistry. But it could be the other way around. You can do C41, negative film and E6 chemistry, or if you have by chance some old rolls of Kodachrome film that you can't develop, you can actually develop that in black and white chemistry and get a black and white picture. So it's just any film that's developed in chemistry that wasn't intended for it is cross processing.
yes,
And
and
what
it
you
clearly
typically
makes.
get Yeah, and what
Sorry.
you typically get is just kind of odd color shifts, um, grainier pictures with more contrast. So this one here, I believe I might have used an Ektachrome film for this one. Each film that you use will look a little different. There's no one look that comes out of all of them. So that's the surprise and fun of it is if you try different films, you'll get different looks. This one is in Barstow, California. I believe this may have also been with an Ektachrome film, but it was a few years back. I don't remember all the details, and of course, you don't get the EXIF information from like you do with your digital camera.
Yes.
Yeah, if I didn't keep careful notes,
Yeah.
then I just
The
have to rely
retro,
on my fading memory. So
yeah,
um,
you need the retro EXIF, which is pen and paper.
pen and paper exactly. So this was Velvia right here. This one I know for sure was Velvia. The fire truck. You can see how it just makes the colors look kind of weird, but very bold.
Yeah.
And
A very
the next
funky
one,
fire truck.
yeah, yeah, and I think that ladder was definitely not blue. Um, I think it was more of a white, if I remember
That
correctly.
is, yeah, that is so
But
interesting.
and then the last picture was this is Velvia, and so my cross-process film simulation recipe is probably a little more in line with using a Fuji film in cross-process, something like Provia or Velvia or something like that.
Yeah. And just to connect to what we'd spoken earlier about the grain and what you mentioned as well, I think this is also a really good example where there's quite a bit of grain. And
Yeah,
this is, where we're connecting to is this is why we want to add grain in the recipe, just to give it
yeah,
this kind of a film look.
yeah. And this is
So,
actual silver grain that you see
yeah.
in there.
Yeah, and I think just these images also, all looked at together the way they're on the screen now. I think all these colors, I'd absolutely love how they, just pop out like this and are so vibrant. So I am really excited for
Yeah,
this
and
coming
if the
month.
people watching have some slide film or go buy some slide film, it's worth trying. Put in a film camera, um, take 36 exposures or however many is on there, and then have the lab develop it in C41 chemistry and see what you get. I mean, that's half the fun of it right there.
Yes, and if you don't have that, you don't need to worry, because we've got the cross-process recipe for you, obviously from Ritchie's app. And yes, and we invite you now for this coming month to play around with that recipe. So best take a screenshot so that you have a reference of it, and dial all those settings into your camera and start experimenting. And we have a few images that we've prepared for you so that you can get a bit of an idea as to what's in store for you when you play around with this recipe.
Yeah, and so I just captured this on my XT30 the other day, and you kind of see that color shift that that we saw in those pictures of the actual cross-process film. You get some of that in here, and changes the blues, and it changes the greens, and it affects all of those colors to get this kind of unusual. You wouldn't typically get this in a digital picture unless you applied a filter to it, but we're just getting it straight out of camera by adjusting the settings.
Yes, it looks very 1970s.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's lovely. And, inspired by flowers, I also took this, and yeah, I'm fascinated by how, those different tones look, and the sky is this deep, almost of turquoise, teal, almost like a teal and orange kind of an image. So
Yeah.
yeah, so it's exciting stuff.
Yeah, it's a beautiful picture.
Thank you.
And of course, here we get more of the yellow that you see in some of the cross process on the brick. You see that there's a lot of highlights and shadows, and you get this contrasty image. I thought this picture was a little interesting because I don't know if you can read what it says in the window. If you want your children to be intelligent, read them fairy tales. And then, so you have this beautiful quote by Albert Einstein up there in the window. And then right below it is just these trash cans are sitting there.
Well, I love that so much. And then obviously I have to point it out again because I love it when I see it blue and yellow together in a photograph, and then a little bit of green on top there as well. I love it. And now that I know what's written in the quote, I love it even more. Thank you. And here, I hope my sister's still watching, because this one is for her. This is not only for her, but also of her, taken a couple of days ago when we were at the beach at one of our last evenings. And yeah, a nice celebration of just, enjoying just being out in nature, at the ocean, in beautiful, contrasty, very saturated colors.
Yeah, and it's very much similar to those film pictures that we saw. And I took this one, some roses. You kind of see that contrast and that shift in colors. It doesn't look like natural colors at all. But that's the kind of stuff that you get when you cross-process film.
Yes. And we will do lots of it over the next couple of weeks. So I hope you are as excited as we are about it. And here, just another image, some more yellow and blue. I don't think there was any yellow actually in this room when I took it, but it makes it.
Well, and that's the great thing about this is that since the colors shift, you don't look at what there actually is, but you look at what you are going to get. And the great thing is that your camera will show you, when you look through it, you'll see exactly what it's going to capture, but it's not going to be the same as actual reality when you're there. It's going to be just a little different.
Yes. Fairy tales of their own kind. So
Albert Einstein would be happy with that.
Let's hope so. Yes, thank you. Thank you, sis. I'm glad you still remember it. And I'm glad you're still watching. Thank you. Yes, so you can tell that we are very excited, and I'm super excited, and I can't wait to see what you'll come up with this recipe. So, get shooting and get your.
Because the next straight out camera will be on the second Thursday of December. We have a shorter window here, so be sure to get that loaded into your camera today and start shooting, and then share with us your pictures.
Yes, there's no time like the present. Start now. And Robert has a question for Ritchie. He's asking, you mentioned earlier the Kodachrome 64 recipe, but I can't find one for my XT20. How can I solve this? Is there?
Yeah, so this is a great question. Now, the recipe we showed was for the newer X-Trans 4 cameras. I do have a Kodachrome 64 recipe that's very similar. That's for the XT3 and XT30. It's not directly compatible with X-Trans 3 cameras like the XT20 because it uses color chrome effect, but it uses color chrome effect weak, which just barely affects the image. It's only a little bit. So since the XT20 doesn't have color chrome effect weak, you obviously can't use it, but the results will still be very similar. So go to the look on the app for the XT3 and XT30 Kodachrome 64 recipe, or go to the website under X-Trans 4. You just got to scroll way towards the bottom, not all the way at the bottom, but more than halfway down. You'll see the Kodachrome 64 recipe for the XT3 and XT30. Use that, just disregard color chrome effect, and you'll get a very similar result.
Awesome stuff. There's always a solution somewhere.
Yeah.
Out there. With almost 200 recipes, we will find the ones that fit. And Lenny is asking, will the video be available to play back later? It sure will. It will stay on all the platforms, and wherever you're watching from, you can rewatch it over and over. And you can also go back, and if you haven't seen the other episodes, the previous ones, they're also still available for you to watch.
And we'll also, I was going to say, we also do the slideshow of everybody's submissions. We'll make that a separate video that's easy for people to share.
Yes, exactly. Because we love sharing and we love showing images. Mm-hmm. And Desmond is saying, I'm new with the X100V, my first real camera. I made a recipe and accessed it through my Q button. Do I need to do anything to switch back to the built-in recipes?
Okay, so we talked about this in a previous video, but I think it's definitely worth talking about again. That Fujifilm programs in there in the C1 through C7 presets, just very basic default settings, everything set at 0 and off, and that kind of stuff. In my opinion, those aren't anything necessarily special, but sometimes they're good to have, especially if you're going to be shooting instead of JPEG, if you're going to be shooting RAW, if you're going to be doing, shooting a wedding or something like that, where you're not going to be using JPEGs, although you certainly can, and people do. But within the Q menu, so you press the Q menu, it opens up that, and then you press and hold the Q menu to open up the custom preset menu, where you actually program in your C1 through C7 presets. Within that, there's the option to reset it. And they go in order of the film simulation. So the first one is Provia, the second one is Velvia, and etc. all the way through. So you'll have to decide which ones you want. And then resetting it is just simply going to where it says reset, and it'll put it back to the factory defaults of everything being 0 and off and all that kind of stuff.
So you can definitely go back to what you had. No need to worry. You can't.
Yeah, you can program it in and then undo it later. Yeah.
Yes. So all's good. Thank you for that question, Desmond. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who have newbie questions, and we welcome them a lot. That's why we're here. Enrico is asking, which light is better for cross process? When I tried it on camera raw, everything looked always so green.
Yeah. So I personally like it on sunny days. I think it looks really good, but you can get interesting results indoors or, if it's cloudy. But that's the whole thing about cross processing is you're going to get these wild, crazy. A lot of times it's a yellow or greenish look to it. Each film was different in how it rendered colors when you cross processed it. And this recipe is more like if you used a Fujifilm slide film of some sort,
Yes. And I
like
think
Velvia. Go ahead.
I think in the way you describe on your blog, the way you describe the recipe, you also encourage people to play around a little bit with the white balance shift to
Yeah.
get tendencies, because the way it is, there is a lot of yellow and a lot of green in them. But maybe if you want to get away from that, and then you play around with the white balance shift so that you get other colors that you prefer.
And that's a great point. If you go to the website, if you go in the app and you find the recipe and you go to the website, it does tell you, other techniques or tricks or things like that. And you can get different looks by adjusting the white balance. So if you don't like the way that the aesthetic that you're getting, you can adjust that and modify it to then get something that you do like.
Yes. So this recipe is definitely one to play around with and have fun. Not necessarily to it's the opposite of what we've been shooting so far. And make sure that you take a screenshot of this slide so that you have the QR code and the upload link so that you can submit lots of images, and we get to share all your creations in the upcoming show.
Yep. And remember, you have less time, so get that camera out and load it up and start shooting.
Yes. Do it straight away. Do it now. And and let's see what we get. And if you have any questions in between, you're also more than welcome to send them our way. We are happy to assist any which way we can. But we have one more exciting thing tonight, and that is our lucky draw. We are so happy that you share images with us that we show in the show, that one of the lucky viewers who submitted an image is standing a chance to win 12 months of a app subscription. So yes, so we always put your name on this lucky wheel that you're seeing on the screen now if you have submitted at least one image. And we will spin the wheel, and then we will see who else is our lucky winner for tonight. Are we ready for this, Ritchie?
Yes. Yeah, I'm excited.
Fabulous. All right, let's see who we can draw as a winner tonight, and let's spin this wheel. Let's spin this wheel, shall we?
Mario.
Mario
Yay.
Ebb. Congratulations. I hope you are still with us, Mario. If you're watching, please can you send us a quick comment that, we want to congratulate you in person and make you a winner this evening. And
even if you have, even if you have an app subscription already, just get a hold of us. Shoot us a message. You can go on my website, and in the about page, there's a form. You can comment on my YouTube account or Facebook or whatever's easy for you. But get in touch with me or Nathalie. Reach out to us and get a hold of us. We want to hear from you.
Yes, we did chat a little bit earlier, Mario and I. So I almost know where you live, so I will get a hold of you. And so congratulations to you, and we will be in touch. To organize this prize for you. And while we're on this topic, they are our previous winners from the previous shows. And we would love for you to get in touch with us because we want to make you winners. We think that the people weren't watching at the time, and so they may not necessarily know that they have won. If you are, or if you see someone's name that you know on the screen, please tell them to get in touch with us because we, want to give the prize away to them. So yeah, so this is our winner number 4, and yeah, we're very excited to know that you all have this awesome app subscription, and you can make use of all the awesome things and more things to come on
Yes, more is coming. Yep.
that. And yeah, more is coming next month. Like you said, the show is usually every second Thursday of the month, and we've had a bit of a upside down 2 months, but from next month we are back every second Thursday of the month. Next month it will be the 9th of December that we're back, so that is actually in 3 weeks time already.
3 weeks, yeah. So that's why it's hard. There we go. It's hard for me to see where I'm in the frame, but yeah, you have a shorter window, so we want to make sure we get those pictures taken and uploaded, and it's I'm excited to be back in 3 weeks.
Yes, yeah, this time in 3 weeks already again. That is absolutely fabulous. From us here, we would like to give a big shout out to everyone who's been watching tonight. Thank you so much. Who maybe it's today, this morning, whatever time zone you have been tuning in from. Thank you, and thank you so much for your patience in tuning back in a couple hours later, and yeah, and for your support.
And putting up with the
we hope
technical
it's been-
difficulties at the beginning.
Yes. And all of that, of course, as well.
Yeah.
So thank you. We hope to connect with you again very soon. And I think it's goodbye from us, isn't it?
Yep.
Thank you so much, Ritchie.
Thanks everyone for watching, for tuning in. Thanks, Nathalie.
It's been an awesome pleasure always. Absolutely fabulous to have you with us. Thank you for all your time. And we'll connect in 3 weeks right here on the same channel.
Awesome. I'll see everyone then.
You have yourself an awesome time. Stay safe, keep well, happy shooting. Until next time.
Bye.
Goodbye.